Okay, hi there. This is Phil Sumborg, USBGF Teaching Pro, and today I have back with me my good friend and excellent top giant, Bob Wachtel. And Bob is here today to help with a problem that I got wrong over the board. And when I get a problem wrong over the board and I analyze it and I can't come up with enough good reasons why, I send it to a great player and a top giant like Bob Wachtel and get his help, and he's agreed to help us all with this play. So Bob, take it away. We have a 5-4 to play here. White's coming off the bar. What's the deal? What do we do here?
Well, Phil, as usual, you're too modest. But quite aside from that, this is we can consider it a money game or the beginning of a long match game. This is a position, a backgammon position. Everybody wants to make the opponent's 5-point goal,
which is what I did. Exactly what I did.
You're under attack here, and the guy's got a million builders, and of course he wants to make his own 5-point. So you should get there first, and once you've gotten there, you're secure. You know, you can't be blown off the board, at least not for a while. So that's just everybody's reaction. Well, it turns out that there's a big problem with that. And the problem with that is that when you make the point like this, black's going to double you. And it turns out it's a big pass. You're 51 pips down. And it's not hard for him to get by you, and your board isn't developed yet. So even though you have the illusion of security, you have no security because you lost the game already. The correct play is to come off the bar with a 5 and continue like this with a 4.
What's the cube action after that?
The cube action after that is, I think, it's a tiny double and a very easy take. Let me see. I've got the wrong guy on roll. Sorry.
That helps.
Yeah, it's a clear double and a clear take. Very,
Okay.
very easy take.
Actually, I don't call 4.9 that clear. I mean, a rollout, hit plus plus. I'm surprised you hit 4-ply there. Why do you hit 4-ply?
It's just I don't usually hit 4-ply, and then I'm not on my fast computer here. So
Okay. Normally you would hit plus plus though. That's what I recommend everybody do. If you don't, unless you have a very slow computer, because plus plus will get you generally a much better analysis than 4-ply.
Yeah,
so it's just,
yeah, it makes it very, very close now in plus plus.
Yeah,
so,
huge difference. Huge difference. Okay.
So if you look at this position, you see that this coming out with the 4 discombobulates black quite a bit, because now he doesn't have the freedom to make one of his inner points, because his 2 blots in the outfield are under fire. For example, if he rolls a 5-3, which he could make the 5-point with, like this, that's the wrong play, and he actually...
it's the wrong play. He's leaving a double shot on the remaining blot out there.
Yeah, so he actually would have to do something like this.
Oh, yeah.
And you can see that now he hasn't achieved anything. So it turns out that that this ace-point game that White has is actually pretty strong because of this huge gap. There's a 3-point gap in here, and this coming out prevents Black from filling that gap in.
Yeah, I think you could do a whole lesson on how should Black play 4-2, 3-1, all kinds of rolls. The 5-3 is just one of the rolls where I might have a real problem. How does he play a 5-1? How does he play a 6-2. All these rolls get kind of complicated because he's leaving us at least a single and maybe a double shot in the outfield if he makes the innerboard point. And then some of those rolls, maybe he hits and leaves lots of return shots. You really do make it hard for black here.
Now, I've prepared a few other similar positions just down the road a little bit. I want to show you this one.
Okay.
And this is just what happens maybe one roll down the road when black has when he's gotten here. And now this one, it turns out, is also, even when you've gotten here and you're safe, this is still just a tiny double, maybe not a double, actually. I didn't double plus it, but
okay.
Again, like, once he's gotten to here, because of the big gap, he still has almost nothing. And now I just want to show you a couple of variations on this. And this might not be the fastest way to do it, but if he makes the 5-point now, this is a cute thing that comes up. It's just worth looking at just to try to understand a little bit. This position, let's say black's made the 5-point. This position turns out to be still a take for white by about 0.056. And if instead of making the 5-point, black makes the 3-point,
even more of a take and maybe not even a double.
No, it's less of a take.
Less of a take?
Less of a take.
Oh, he's got more safe landing places, more numbers that play safe.
Well, let me show you one more.
Well, why is this less of a take?
Well, let me show you one more.
Okay.
This is the 4-point.
It was counterintuitive to me.
Well, this is more counterintuitive. If he makes the 4-point, it's a pass.
Wow.
And the reason, I think, I mean, I'm not saying any of this is obvious, and I'm not saying I would have known it without looking at it or anything like that. But the reason I think that this one is a pass is because black's filled in the gap. He has 2 single gaps instead of a double gap. In the other ones where he's made the 5-point or the 3-point, he has a double gap.
Okay, but why is making the 3-point better than making the 5-point?
Well, that one I'm not too sure of. I'm not really too sure of. But
okay. It has to have something to do with having a safe place to put your 6s and 5s, maybe.
I think that's the reason. I think that, let me just go back to it. I think that your small numbers play well and your big numbers play well, sort of.
Uh-huh.
Because the big numbers land on the 3-point, and the small numbers make these points.
Yeah.
It's all
wow.
very, it's not very obvious at any rate, but you can see that this ace point has great resiliency when black can't really fill in his board very easily.
Uh-huh.
And that's the key to the position in the beginning.
Okay, so I like to draw generalities, and I know all generalities are wrong, but I like to walk away from a lesson with something that I can hang my hat on, because I won't remember every single one of these positions and variations, maybe not tomorrow, but much less a year from now when the position comes up again. So first generality is don't go with your knee-jerk reaction. Everybody in the world who sees that initial play wants to make the 5-point. I don't care how good or bad you are. That's your gut reaction, and it's time to stop and think and look at what is your game plan. And I think that's another big takeaway. In this position, your game plan, so what if you make the 5-point? Is your game plan to play a 5-point holding game? That's a losing game plan. Playing an ace-point holding game when he's got big gaps in his board is a potential winning game plan, and that's why you want to stay back and play a hitting game. You're not trying to play a holding game, a high holding game, a high anchor game, or a racing game, you need to stay back for the shots. It's the shots that's going to win this game. The next generality that I have, and chime in anytime about it if you have anything to add or disagree with, the next generality I have is that there's really, I think, only a couple of ways to fully understand these positions when you find that you're wrong and you don't understand them. One is to play them out a bunch of times. So that's very, very time-consuming and can be very difficult, but it's also very, very enlightening. The problem that I have when I play things out a bunch of times is I get sidetracked because 7 other things come up while I'm playing them out that I also don't understand, and before the hour is up, my list is about 20 positions long. So, but it's still very helpful to see how they play out, because part of the reason that you made the wrong play to begin with is you didn't see how the game played out. But the other thing is what Bob just did, variations. By seeing maybe just one roll forward, if you did this and he did that, or if this happens and this happens, you just go one roll forward and analyze that position from there. That saves you a mountain of rollouts and a mountain of playing games out to see the features of the position. And that's why Bob is a giant, and I guarantee you, I've interviewed just about all the top players in the world. Every single one of them spend this kind of time and effort to understand any play that they don't understand. That's how you learn. You don't just look at the position and say, oh yeah, I should have stayed on the one point and go on to the next one. You figure out why. And what Bob's approach was is to look at, if you did this, what would happen? If you did that, what would happen? What would happen with the cube here? How does it work there? So this is a really much more enlightening to me, not just about this play, about how you learn and how you get better. Anything more to add on this position or anything I've mentioned, Bob?
Do we have another minute or two?
Sure, go ahead.
Well, I just had some other positions that are a little bit similar to this that come up a lot, and I made a mistake the other day playing with XG in one of these, and it's again whether you should make the 5 point. This one is more in the opening.
Okay.
But here's an opening. Black's escaped his back checkers. White has a nice solid position, and he rolls a 4-2. Well, I mean, what's the obvious play?
The obvious play is to make his 5 point. You can't be attacked. You're in the game forever. You're not going to get gammoned very much. It's the knee-jerk play. It's obviously wrong because that's my knee-jerk play.
Right, it's wrong. It's wrong by quite a bit. I only single plus these, but pretty much one of the cardinal rules that is the hardest to follow in backgammon and that I often violate is when you're behind in the race, you have to take more chances and try to hit shots. You can't be buttoning up and crawling into your shell. And in this position, White's 11 pips down before the roll. He'll be 5 down after the roll. And moreover, he's put himself in a position, yeah, it's true, this is a nice defensive position, but these 2 checkers are also stuck. They can't run. And he's pretty much resigned himself to defending. Whereas he's got a lovely, strong position on his side of the board. If he makes this play and you're black, you're not that happy looking at this. You're like, wow, I hope I roll, a 5-3 or a double 3 or something. But there are a lot of numbers that leave shots. And it turns out that, I destroyed the position here, but it turns out that you have to get to, now, obviously when White is doing better in the race, there's going to come some point where it's correct for him to make the point. When is that? It turns out that he's got to be even in the race before the roll, which is pretty amazing. He's got to actually be better off and have a better race than black to button up. This is this is the crossover that I found. Here the pip count is even, and the two plays come out pretty much the same, making the 4-point and making the opponent's 20 point. And anyway, this is the same principle that we saw in the other position. You know, when
fascinating, yeah.
You've got to play for contact, not play for safety.
Again, it's about gameplay, and you're trying to win a hitting game, not a racing game.
Right.
Go back to the last position, will you? Because I got a thought that I want to test.
Okay.
And if I'm right, I think it's going to be really, really interesting for people to grasp.
I have this one at 0-0 in a 7-point match.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. That's normal match score. Okay, in this position, it's clearly right to make your 4-point because all of his checkers have escaped, and you're trying to stay back and play a hitting game. But you want to make your 4-point. But lots of people would have thought, why should I make my 4-point? He's gone. You're making it for the future. Now, take a checker off of Black's 13-point and put it on his 24-point. Now, as Bob pointed out, the race is even, and now that you have that checker back here, the play, I think, is going to reverse. I think you're going to make this 20-point now instead of your 4-point, which is almost exactly the opposite of what most people would think here. Let's see what's right.
Okay, that's a good idea. I'm not sure what is right, but I think you're right.
I think you make the 20-point now. And you do. Okay, so here's my point. You would think that you want to make the 4-point because you've got a checker back in your inner board, and you'd rather make an inside point to make it harder for him to come up and get out, and because of the contact. And the other way, you'd think just the opposite. Again, it's counterintuitive, and the trick is to stop using that damn word. It's counterintuitive because we really haven't been intuitive. We really haven't figured out what the game plan is here. And in this case, you have a game plan where, number one, as Bob pointed out, the race is even before the roll, and you have 6 pips, and because you're on roll, and you're ahead of them, so you can win this game by racing. And number two, the only way that black checker is escaping right now is if he rolls a 6-5 or a 6-2, is the only ways that are really going to hurt you. Otherwise, you're going to get shots anyway, and coming up to his 20-point will give you some indirects if he comes into the outfield with a 6-3 or a 6-4. So
it's also about you not getting primed in yourself. You know, you have 2 checkers. Once you've hit his checker and his checker's back, he's got to get that checker out, and your plan is also not to get your checkers back.
Right. Making the 4-point now is not going to be a key to containing his back checker. Making the bar point is the key. But if his checker isn't there, making the 4-point is a key if you're going to be in a hitting game. So it's all, again, a lot about game plan and a lot about looking forward in the next plays. But again, these 2 plays, almost everybody who's a beginner or intermediate or hasn't studied this, and I'm sure many open players, would have exactly reversed which point they made in these 2 positions. And right here is a great study. And again, it shows why Bob is such a great player. As I pointed out in another video, he's looking at variations. He's looking at different ways to look at a position. And he's looking at different positions with similar themes that teach us why it was right to stay back or why it's right to come up. Thank you, Bob, very much for your analysis of this interesting position. Again, that initial position, I think one more takeaway is when you have a knee-jerk position, remember, you don't win this game below the waist with your knees. You win this game above the neck with your head. So use your head, not your knees, to make the play. Bob, we'll see you again soon. And thanks again.
Thanks a lot.
Okay, bye-bye.